Call to order the Public Works Service Committee meeting for October the 22nd. If you would, bow with me for the invocation. Heavenly Father, we come to you today, and Lord, we just thank you, praising you. Thank you for the rains that you've sent our way to quench the thirst of the land. Lord, we just lift up the service members, Fort Stewart, for training and lost their lives. Lord, we just ask you, family, as they're going through this time, give them strength, guidance. Lord, we ask you, group from Columbia County Chamber that's heading to Washington, we ask them. Lord, may that be a successful trip. Lord, we just thank you for the many blessings that you've given us. I want to honor you in all we do. Lift up the men and women that serve our country, home and abroad. Lift up the first responders. Ask for protection for each. And all these things I pray in your precious name.
Amen.
Join us for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance. Flag.
United States of America, republic for which it stands, one nation, God.
Sorry, I was out running my mouth this morning. I'm getting everything to move forward, but good to see my neighbor and speak. Okay, we have two members present this morning. Chairman Duncan stated in the prayer he is one of the ones that we will be in Washington. So play us and I can handle it. So a previous meetings minutes, if you're good with that.
So moved to accept them, sir.
Those, Mr. Proctor. Okay, or
As far as I know.
don't think we have any presentations this morning. That agenda, so we'll go right down to debate.
Thank you, sir. First one I have for you is Patriots Park driveway lighting proposal from Georgia Power. We reach out and ask them to provide us a price to provide light at the entrance to Patriots Park off William Few, both the new one and the existing one. The cost will be $100 per month for the two lights. Staff has recommended approval.
Who's the consent?
Next one I have for you is a supplement agreement number 2 with GDOT. This is for our Lewis and Road project, and as we've been designing it, we've actually exceeded our budget. So we made a quick trip to Atlanta to have a conversation with Commissioner Russell McMurray, and he's graciously agreed to give us $11,163,702 to add to our budget. And so this supplemental agreement will be acceptance of those funds. Staff has recommended approval of the supplemental agreement.
Can't have any questions about that? Moved to consent.
So move on that, and thank you. Send that, we greatly appreciate it for sure.
Boy, he was gracious. You reckon I can go up there and say?
Yeah, talk to him.
Paid for my career here, for my the entire career here is paid for now, so.
Before you get started, Mr. Clayton, I understand today is your birthday.
No.
Is that not so?
It is.
Well, okay, all right, well.
I was telling everybody I'm finally going to start getting some of my Social Security money back. Isn't that a wonderful thing?
That is awesome. That's a good milestone to reach.
It is indeed. Thank you,
Well,
sir.
thank you for what you do, and happy birthday.
Thank you, sir. The first item for your consideration is change order number 2 at the Little River Outfall Effluent Line in the credit amount of $72,024.08. This will adjust that contract down to $3,107,068.80. But we did have to give them a 58-day extension, bringing their completion date to October the 1st. And thank you, they are finished with that nasty little project. So it's all in, it's completed, and we're very happy about it, and we would recommend approval.
Questions, move to consent, sir.
So moved. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir. Over the last 10 years or so, we've made quite a few upgrades and modifications to our Reed Creek wastewater treatment plant, which sits out there on Stevens Creek Road. And in doing so, obviously, we have ripped that asphalt that runs around that plant to pieces and patched it. Now we're kind of finished doing upgrades for a while, and we really think that we're in a good time frame to overlay it and get a nice paving job back over that. We've got a proposal from Turnip Seed for a lump sum amount of $15,500 to create the necessary specifications for us to bid that out. We would recommend approval of that proposal and that an extension and renewal project be established at a budget of $250,000 to see that to a completion.
Move to consent, sir.
Well,
Thank you, gentlemen.
driver, any legal items? Back to you, staff.
Yeah, on our reports, the budgetary report speaks for themselves. We're in more than good shape on those. And then I have the construction project reports. Certainly can answer any questions you might have on those, but I did want to bring you to the work log. It'll show you that our September water production amount was up around our July water sales or water production amounts, and our October may not be far off from that. I mean, we have just really been setting pretty much records for ourselves. You can see what this September was 730 million, over last year was 586. So, I mean, it's just been hot and dry, and as you prayed for and I prayed for as well, that rain we got this weekend was just what we ordered, and hopefully our summer is done. Now we can move on into the rest of fall and winter.
Well, the important thing here, I think, is for the citizens of Columbia County to know that when the need is there, that have the stuff in place to make sure that they get serviced the way that they would.
Unless there's a leak somewhere, every time they turned the faucet, it came on, so thank you.
Thank you for that.
I'm sorry, sir. I just had one question.
Yes, sir.
It's item 644, the Columbia Road water line. Is that almost complete?
34. It is just got a few punch items left to do out there, and that's where we ran the water mains up both sides of Columbia Road, and we're able to abandon that water main that run right in the middle of Columbia Road for the full length of it.
Okay.
Now, luckily, we only had it blow out one time, and the first car to come along was a Mercedes-Benz. Went straight into the hole. Couldn't been a Prius, or Kia.
Those foreigners.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I was just talking about the expense of it.
But you're not judging. No.
Yeah,
Okay,
no.
all right.
Anyway, we're really glad to have that water main. That scared us because it happened 5 o'clock in the morning. You couldn't see the hole, and so we're glad to be done with that little project.
Thank you for your hard work. These are a lot of projects. Move to consent, sir. Or thank you for your report, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that, Mr. Clayton. I would like to welcome the group from Leadership Columbia County this morning. Thank you all for coming by. So, and we may be sending Johnson and Chairman Duncan out of town a little more often. I don't think they get the kind of money coming our way when they're here, so.
Trying to tell y'all.
Okay. No executive session items, so we will adjourn at 8:40.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Emergency Services meeting, 8:42. We'll move forward to roll call. Mr. Richardson's still here. Okay. Get a review of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
So moved. All well with the agenda, sir?
Sir.
Accept the agenda. Any presentations? Consent agenda?
Yes, this is for the Grovetown Library FF&E package. Bids were taken, and I believe these are all state contract prices. Staff would request BOC to authorize staff to issue purchase orders for these items, FF&E Grovetown Library.
Move to consent with a question. This pretty much outfit everything inside, or are there some additional items to come, or, sorry, ma'am?
So these proposals that we received are for all of the furniture and actual furnished equipment. It does not include IT, any of the computers like that, but it is for the entire library, the first and the second floor. All your shelving, all your furniture, equipment that we needed off to the side.
Thank you, ma'am. Move to consent? So moved. Next item, sir.
This is an amendment to the agreement, Library Services Agreement for Greater Clarksville Regional Library System. The funding from the state to GPLS had been reduced, thus reducing our allotment for the materials grant from $23,180 to $13,587. This will just affect the number of extra books we can purchase for the library. So staff recommend approval of this.
Move to consent with a question. Is this part of the governor's thing, or is that next year, or why did that get cut like that?
I'm not sure. Could be here shortly. I don't know if she knows either. I think it was just a sort of a across-the-board cut for the library system and seemed to affect materials more than other areas for us.
So moved. Next, sir.
Resolution 1941 in support of a state veteran cemetery. Staff recommends approval of this resolution to support a request from former Augusta Mayor Bob Young's initiative. Recommends approval.
So could you give us a little update on this, please?
As John stated, the former mayor of Augusta, Mr. Bob Young, reached out to the Board of Commissioners in support of a possible Veterans Cemetery, Augusta, Richmond County. Arlington, which is obviously right outside of DC, is filling up very quickly, and it is now the spaces that are left are now being reserved for combat veterans. So there are requests all over the country to have these regional veterans cemeteries, and with Augusta having Fort Gordon, of course, and a large retiree population, they are considering having the cemetery in our area. So this resolution is just in support of trying to get the cemetery in Augusta, Richmond County. It is not a done deal at this time, but these are kind of the steps to be able to start the process with the federal government to have one.
Move to consent.
Thanks to former Mayor Bob Young. The only soldiers buried on Fort Gordon are actually our POWs. So, yeah, it's probably time we do something for our veterans. Thank you for that. So moved. Chief?
Good morning. This first item is a request to purchase for self-contained breathing apparatus. Every year in our budget, we just found, after receiving quotes from the two vendors out to sell, using the MPP Gov contract was actually right. So Staff recommends approval to purchase the SCBA contract from MES.
Move to consent.
So moved. Another item, Chief?
I do. So this item is to purchase 3 personal protective equipment washers and dryers. And it's part of our cancer initiative, so it's something that we do in our budget. And after looking at quotes, the best price was using the contract. So our request is to purchase 3 Continental commercial washer dryer extractor units from Continental Bow, for a cost not to exceed $33,000.
Move to consent with a question. This says 3, but then in the paperwork it says 2 on the,
Right, we're looking at the per unit price, which is how it's listed on the Gov contract.
okay. And this get us, I know when I was touring our stations, several stations or most stations did not have this equipment. We were having to transport a lot of gear.
So right now, before this purchase, we have basically a region, there's 1 for every 3 stations. So this will bring this down to 1 for every 2. And again, it'll be ongoing. We'll come back again. Although we are currently seeking some grant funding to make these. Because of the cancer risk, top priority on our list.
Save a lot of time and effort with shuffling these around. Explained is that,
Well, right, because another part of the initiative is having 2 sets go to an event that leaves contaminants in it. You can't take it off and wash it and not have gear for an hour and a half. So we're going to have to supplement as well. Second set. So clean them fast. Still need something to wear while you do it.
where are we at in that process of having that second set of gear?
Just a little over 25%. It's a huge.
So moved to consent. Okay, so moved. And no, any additional items? Mr. Driver, help me
Yes.
out here.
All right,
You have to do with room.
I actually have a legal item today. So in 2006, in the Northern District of Georgia, a class action lawsuit was brought on behalf of all Georgia cities and counties. And it was against essentially all the online hotel companies, hotels.com, so forth, because they were collecting excise tax, or they're collecting taxes and not remitting all of it, and not remitting specifically excise taxes. This was settled in 2011. The county's been receiving payments ever since. What you have before you today is the administrator of that settlement, who's been figuring all this out and sending the checks to everybody. I guess their contract is up, and this is to continue it. My recommendation is to approve continuing with that firm as administrator.
What would, is this item, or how do we need to handle
You could put that on consent, yes.
it? Move to consent.
All right, so moved. Chief, I think you're back up here, Fire and Emergency Services.
Yes, sir. The year-to-date run report, last month's run report, and then our year-to-date budget for year.
Is it common to, I have no previous experience with this. This is common to be at 100 or 99% with, for example, leased equipment, refuse service? And-
So those are 2 different issues. With the leased equipment, it's a 1 annual payment for 2 fire apparatus that we
Okay.
have financed. So that's all paid right up front. So you spend 100%, don't write anything else until next year. On the refuse service, pest control, generator maintenance, those are items where they open a PO for the entire year for the entire amount, and then each month they draw off what the actual bill is. So they're just encumbering the funds right up front and then you actually write the check each month.
All right, good. Thank you. Thank you for that, Chief. Do you have any questions? Do you have any public comments? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Happy birthday. By the way,
Please let us know your name and,
Sure.
yes, ma'am.
It's Marlena Bergeron, address 2545 Willow Creek Court, 2 doors down from Gary. So I really appreciate everything that goes on. You guys do a lot of the heavy lifting right now for the community. And one thing I wanted to just start kicking the ball around, kicking the can around, a community service to me is the opportunity to work with you. And what I'm proposing is this. I think you've all done a wonderful job in grooming this community to be a wonderful place full of comforts and conveniences. And convenience and comfort, those are kind of relative terms, aren't they? And especially if we look around the rest of the world, we are so blessed that most of the residents here will report to Doug Duncan their biggest concern is traffic. That happens when more than one person lives in a zip code. So we're so lucky we're not dealing with famine and fire and flash floods. We're not dealing with gang violence while our kids go to school. What I am proposing is this, because I think Columbia County is a beautiful place to live. I'd like it to be a beautiful place to stay. And it's a wonderful life here. I would like a coalition of staff members and elected officials to start figuring out policies that would change our approach to how we develop both in commercial as well as civic areas, because any place that has current vegetation, I think we need a new ordinance. And I brought this up at other commissioner meetings, but I feel like you do the heavy lifting. I feel like trees and our vegetation are doing a community service. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if we look at data right now, we are looking at a future that has higher rainfalls predicted and some higher temperatures. And if we can do our best to retain vegetation in buffers across our area where it still exists, we will be better positioned for a future that is comfortable and convenient for our kids. And all we need is one sick child or one natural disaster to remind us what real inconvenience is and what real discomfort is. I've got 3 proposals that are specific, and that this is what I'd like for you to address, and I know everyone's got to get back to work. But I want an ordinance preserving natural buffers. This is going to affect both commercial development. It can be similar to the major site grading. It can be modified, but I feel like you're going to do a better job drafting something that's both practical and economical. But it preserves our tree line as we drive around, and it'll help absorb that moisture if we get a heavy rainfall, like our neighbors in Columbia, South Carolina did in 2015. It keeps me up at night to think that we were better positioned 4 years ago than we are now if we have a heavy rainfall. That's just a byproduct of development. So I want to develop smarter, and there is a call to arms, and I need you to be a part of that conversation. I don't think we're doing enough. I don't think the way we're re-landscaping is aligning with the current research. If we drop in skinny trees that are 20 feet apart, that's not going to be a robust canopy. So that's my second request, that we increase the caliper of the kind of trees that we're asking developers and landowners to re-landscape with, bumping it up to 4 to 6 inches, maybe doing more that's mid-level so that we can actually recreate canopies if we have to remove them. And then the third thing is that anything that's built, I would like it, if it's along a bike path or pedestrian infrastructure, that it includes a bike rack. And I think with those three things, we can start to have our community both be beautiful, both thrive economically, and we can start to complete that Venn diagram where we have a healthy environment as well. And we start passing some more things that meet in the middle. So it can be a wonderful life now. It could have character and authenticity, and it can be environmentally healthy for the future. And I'll wrap this up with a quote I read recently from Lyndon B. Johnson. He was a Democrat. Please don't hold that against him. This was in 1964 when he passed the Wilderness Act. Thank you. I was waiting for something. This bill passed in D.C. unanimously, which is a rare thing these days. But I thought that this was something we should all take note. And LBJ said this: if future generations are to remember us with gratitude rather than contempt, we must leave them with more than the miracles of technology. We must give them a glimpse of the world as it was in the beginning, not just after we got through with it. I've been blessed with a wonderful life here and a wonderful opportunity to live in a wooded area. And sometimes it breaks my heart to go to places and to have this memory of trees and to know there's not a shred of it left. And I think we need to do more to collaborate, preserving what's here and then building for the future that's coming. Thank you.
Can I address one thing that you said?
Yes.
I think it was your second request. That's the caliper of trees.
Yes.
I have talked to Mr. Proctor in the last week about the caliper of trees. They're not out there. Start talking about a 4 to 6 caliber tree in these nurseries where they're growing them or wherever. They're just not there to be had. We can't hardly find a 3-inch caliper.
The supply is hard to find, especially with a native tree to this area. Now, you can probably
Yeah.
find them that are not native to this area, that won't grow in our soils, but to find one that thrives in clay and rock, it's tough to find. So we are looking at that. Actually, our tree advisory board is taking that on, I believe.
Okay.
Talk about how we address that.
Okay. Well, and it sounds like, I mean, dropping it in the ground at that dimension, and there's no substitute for time.
Right.
Sometimes we just have to plant something. And here's my chance to say, maybe we need those sweet gums more than people want to admit. It's the only thing that can grow as fast as the rest of development. But we need something. And I think not doing anything is a worse sin of omission than trying to do something, even if it maybe doesn't work right away. But I do appreciate that. And I'll start harvesting the baby oaks from my yard and bringing them your way. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
As always, thank you for your passion, ma'am. All right, anything in executive session, sir? Accept the motion.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
We are adjourned, 8:59. Thank you all.